The Crows run the scoreboard in season 2004. Gary Ayres, a big sigh of relief from him, but it was all over at half-time when the Crows led by 62 points. In the end, they have rubbed it right into the Tigers tonight and walk away with victory by 75 points. It's going to be a tough one for the Tigers. Their fans are milling, ready to go, as you can see. Let's have a listen to what Danny Frawley's copying. Well, there you go. Unfortunately for Tiger fans, it's a familiar scene, and now the players come off.
Yeah, tough business. Tough business. That bloke right there in the blue, he just spat on the Richmond players. Now, I hope we got a good look at him and a good shot at him, because you can talk all you like. That bloke there, that is a gutless effort, mate. Pay your money, come and support your team, but don't go spitting on the players.
I'm a lifelong Richmond supporter. I joined the cheer squad as a 12-year-old. I sat there throughout my teens and became a fully fledged member as soon as I could afford it. You know, as soon as I could start working, I joined the club as a member. And yeah, I remember throwing a couple of dollars into the Save Our Skins tin in 1987, I think it was, when the Richmond Football Club was on its last legs, and they were talking mergers and so on, and I think that helped me become more passionate as a supporter, actually, to contribute to that campaign, and I just love Richmond.
Good evening, everyone. I'll tell you what was pretty interesting down here. After the abuse that Danny Frawley copped after last Saturday night's loss, he's been assigned 5 security guards, which is a fair whack, as he made his way up to the coach's box there. And the Tigers footy manager and Greg Hutchison gave those guards a bit of a pep talk beforehand. So we'll keep an eye on that, whether it grows through the night, if you know what I mean.
Richmond were in pretty bad form at the time, and the feeling of the game was a feeling of you know, what are they going to produce tonight?
And they're a huge chance. Stevens comes in. Well, the Crows have won it, according to Durham. Runs around, wasting no time, kicks the goal.
So Kerry from point-blank range for a senior footballer, he doesn't miss them.
Steps to the 50.
That's hard.
Gives it a ride. Burton the crumb. Interesting attempt at goal. He knew what he was doing, bounces it through.
Bends it back, he's got it.
5 Kellaway knocked it down, stolen by Bode, who snaps, and there's another one.
It was the same thing. We were down by 10 goals at half-time, and there was a feeling amongst the crowd, certainly out here in the outer, that enough, you know, enough is enough, and someone had to take the blame for it. And yeah, I knew who I wanted to take the blame for it, and that was Danny Frawley.
My pizzeria at the time was a very switched-on guy, and he knew that circumstances leading up to the match were infuriating the Richmond faithful, and was quite aware that I should be concentrating more so on the crowd perhaps than the players on that particular day.
Yeah, you could just feel it in the crowd. Like everyone seemed to know who to direct the anger towards, and that was the coach. And there was nothing that was actually being said in the crowd on the night, but everyone knew that. It seemed like everyone knew that they were going to gather around that race and just give it to him.
I remained on the ground and photographed the crowd looking down onto the players, and just more or less randomly took some photos of the behaviour of the crowd.
The Crows running off the ground to a very good ovation. Their supporters up that end of the ground, and the Tigers are going to be booed off at half-time.
And the crowd milled around that race straight away. There was hundreds of people surrounding it before he'd even walked off the ground. So, and I remember it being around the aisles, around the the pedestrian area behind the race. People were hanging over the fence and they were just giving it to him. And yeah, I leaned over and told him that he should fuck off back to Moorabbin, where he came from. Oh, the next day I woke up and it was pretty obvious that this story had grown some legs. You know, Eddie Maguire was in charge of the hunt, and they were on the lookout for the spitter. And I'd popped down to 7-Eleven, grabbed my Sunday papers, and lo and behold, I was on page 3 of the Sunday Sun under a heading called Spit Hoons. The photo had placed me in the limelight for the spitting incident, and I was also on the back page of the Sunday Age, and I think there was a small photo of me on the front of the Sunday Age, and that's when I realised that things might have been starting to get out of hand a little bit from my side of things. Without even reading the article, I realised that they hadn't identified the spitter yet, and that I might have been in the frame for it.
A 10-goal half-time deficit prompted the first wave of abuse. But the final siren opened a floodgate of ugly scenes as a handful of so-called supporters accosted coach Danny Frawley and his team.
And it didn't take very long before the text started rolling in, the phone started ringing off the hook, and pretty obvious that this was my 15 minutes, or you know, the exposure had gone a lot further than I thought it would ever go. Obviously, it was all my friends and it was good-natured jibes and stuff like that, but there was an underlying sort of seriousness about it as well. And yeah, as well as the fact that I didn't really like my behaviour being portrayed to a mass audience like that. Especially when I look back on it and didn't like it very much. I didn't like what I saw, so it looked quite ugly. The shots of me in the Herald Sun weren't very flattering at all. That had me with my, you know, fist up in the air and a mouth wide open.
All I can say to you as regards to the selection of the photos, apart from the guy who was spitting, was obviously of their main interest, but they needed some supplementary photos to support that photo, and the picture of Michael was selected. I think that the editor would have thought that he looked particularly frustrated and selected his image accordingly.
And I didn't like it that much. And yeah, I mean, since then all my friends have kept copies of the Herald Sun and the Age, but mine went straight in the recycling bin. It was something I wanted to put behind me straight away, but I knew in the back of my mind that I wasn't going to be able to do it that easily.
And people who behave like that need to understand the police will in fact pursue them, and given television has allowed us access to photographs in these instances, I think that we will be following those matters up.
Well, I arrived at work the next day at Paran Centrelink, and my personal phone started ringing off the hook straight away. And the first call was from a Herald Sun photographer.
No, I've never called Michael. I've never contacted him in any way.
Called Craig, and he called me to call me up to tell me that he had photos of me spitting on Danny Frawley. And I said, "Oh, that's interesting, mate." I said, "Could you send one of those through?" I said, "I've just opened up my email." I said, "I'd appreciate it if you could send one through for me right now." And I said, "I'll point out to you who the spitter is if you like." And he goes, "No, I won't do that." And I said, "Why not?" And he goes, "No." He goes, "I don't see why I should have to do that." And I said, well, why are you calling then? And he goes, "Look, mate," he goes, "I'm just ringing you up to do you a favour. And that is to tell you that the police are on their way to your office."
Richmond was today inundated with around 500 emails from supporters condemning the spitting incidents. There was one at half-time, which has led police to charge a 25-year-old man
Well, my manager sat me down and said, we've received about 30 phone calls from Centrelink customers who've noticed that you spat on Danny Frawley at the football the other night. And I said, and I looked at, and he goes, it's all right. He said, I know it wasn't you. I saw the actual footage. So I called up the Victoria Police Major Events Division, I think they put me through to. They were waiting to hear from me. They knew who I was, and they said that they'd been wanting to talk to me. I arranged a time after work to talk with them at the World Trade Centre. And I thought I'd just be able to clear that up and go home and have dinner. But 5 minutes later, that same policeman rang me back and said, we need you to come in straight away. And I said, why is that? We've already organised a time to meet up after work. And he goes, mate, the media's all over it. He goes, we need to get this done and dusted straight away. And I was like, I wasn't naive. I understood how the media worked in AFL circles, but I said, why does this media pressure mean that I have to leave work to do this? You know, I've got things to do. And he said, mate, he goes, come in now, or he said, we'll come in and get you.
I condemn it, certainly. I know that we'll be backing any action that the AFL's taking and any independent action.
It's unacceptable. It's un-Australian. We won't tolerate that in our game.
I think we should be looking at each other and wondering how come football's degenerated to that.
Yeah, so I jumped in my car and arrived at the World Trade Centre, and I was greeted by 4 police. Two of them flanked me either side. And they said, we're going to take you up to the 6th floor. And it was all very official. It felt like I was about to get charged. And we made our way up to the 6th floor where they had newspapers scattered around everywhere, and they had some audio-visual equipment ready. And there would have been about 10 police there. They were all very senior. And it was a little bit intimidating. Well, first of all, they asked whether I had any objections to them recording it, both a video and audio recording of it. And I said, no, I haven't got any problem with that whatsoever, because I haven't done anything. And it was sort of felt like Keystone Cops for a little while. But then it sort of took a bit more of a serious turn, and I had to officially identify through the video footage and the newspaper clippings who the spitter was. And not being a dobber, I didn't really want to dob him in, but I said, well, I think they were, aiming their photographs at that guy standing beside me with a blue jacket. And we went through the video footage, which quite clearly showed him spitting on Danny Frawley.
That bloke looked Fleming in the eyeball, or plural.
Yeah, it was great.
And I thought, well, right, this is it. I should be able to go now, because we've all sat here and watched this video together, and it was pretty obvious that it wasn't me. But no, it wasn't the end of the interview. They decided, I think, that they had to try and salvage something out of this whole setup with me. So one of the police sort of started getting a bit heavy with me, and he's leaning over the table and he's going, do you realise swearing's an offence at the football? And I said, no, but what are you going to charge me? You have to charge everyone at the footy. I said there was thousands of people swearing at Danny Frawley that night. And I think I was showing that I wasn't being affected by the heaviness that they were trying to lay on me. In fact, I was pretty sure I saw it for what it was, which was they were trying to not embarrass themselves for bringing me into the police station, ripping me out of work for half a day for no reason. And another good cop sort of chimed in and said, it's swearing's, we're not going to charge you with swearing type of thing, and we'll go ahead and find who this person was that did it. And I said, great. And he seemed to be winding things up, and then he pulled me aside and said, would you like an escort back to your car? And I said, no, thanks, I'll be all right. And he goes, no, I'd suggest that you get an escort back to your car. And I said, why is that? And he said, Channel 9 and 7 are waiting out the front. And I said, you guys are unbelievable. I said, you, the Herald Sun, Richmond, yeah. I said, you all talk to each other, don't you? And he went, yeah, we do.
I do feel sorry for Michael because he was captured by a major news outlet misbehaving, and which, as we all know, can easily be blown out of proportion. Once the media juggernaut grabs onto something, they're like a dog with a bone, and they will not let it go until the victim, innocent or otherwise, has been tried, publicly and squashed before the public. But on the other hand, he was misbehaving, and it was like the camera doesn't lie, and the photo is of him screaming at the club. But it shouldn't be misconstrued that he was the person who actually did the spitting.
And one or two people said to me, "Oh, would you say that to Danny Frawley if you saw him walking down the street?" And the answer is no. I wouldn't have said that to him. I bumped into him down the street. Yeah. And that's like any comments I've made at the footy since then. I've measured them by thinking, would I say that? Yeah. To that player if I saw him walking down Burke Street? No, you wouldn't. Yeah.